right, we're coming on live. Beautiful. There we are. Kathi Sottosanti, Coach Kathi, and we've got Kate Motz, Coach Kate. Kathi and Kate here. We have been doing this series, and it is part of what we've called the Replenishment Series, and this is part 6. So today we're coming to you with the idea and concept and experience for mindset. And although we're both coaches and I've been doing this for a long time, this was a great experience. The month of January, we hosted a group with over 100 people in it called Clean Up in Aisle 7. And it was really a great way to help people coming out of 2020 and the holidays, but really coming out of 2020, go through a detoxing program. And we started it on January 4th. And it was really whatever it was they wanted to do. So although Kate's got her stuff and I've got my stuff that we work with and offer, we were meeting people where they were and saying, join us. And then every day we had a thought process, an intention. And today we're wrapping it up. So we wanted to talk today about mindset and give you an insight as to what we accomplished in the month, because we did a doctor-patient sort of thing here with Kate, who's a functional medicine coach and wrote a book, Revolutionary Weight Loss, Time to Lose the Weight for Good, Losing the Weight for Good. Yeah. And it's not because of diet and or meal plans and exercise. It really focuses on everything but what you would think in order to lose weight. So being an investigative coach like I am, look, I'm itching because we're talking about it, because I just took an allergy pill because I'm finding my way. And this was really part of it. I'm still learning, so I'm not done. We, at the beginning of the year, just prior to the beginning of the year, in December, I, through Kate, did a food sensitivity test. And that came back with the foods that I might be sensitive to, along with the measurement of candida in my gut, which is normal and a lot of people have it. Why don't you speak to what that is?
Okay, candida is a gut bacteria, and everyone has some level of it, but many times it becomes overgrown. The number one fuel for candida is sugar, so that's a big part of our diet.
Yep.
It can start in many different ways. It can start just from an imbalance, or the technical term dysbiosis in the gut itself.
Say that slower.
Dysbiosis, meaning gut imbalance. Maybe we've been taking antibiotics on a regular basis. Maybe we've been eating too much sugar on a regular basis. There's a whole bunch of reasons why, but it does pretty easily become overgrown. And it can cause a lot of different issues. Some of the things that people experience when there's high levels of candida are bloating, especially after you eat certain foods, brain fog.
And so it's not actually, it may not actually be the food that you're eating, but the condition that exists while eating the food.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
It could be, with candida specifically, there are foods that will continue to promote its growth. So I mentioned sugar, but there are other things like, anything white flour related turns to sugar. So
and potato chips and any of these sugar alcohols and alcohol and wines, right, and any of the drinks that you're having with any fruit juices and such. And I mean, let's face it, when we were looking at 2020, and I asked my secretary, Alexa, she's probably going to listen to me here too, how many days there were between March 17th and December 31st, 2020, and she responded 289. All I could think about was most people last year had 289 opportunities to kind of go off path. Gyms were closed. We weren't getting that same amount of proper exercise, although I've been in parks every day since June, and although I haven't been lifting as specifically as I used to with weights, I was walking at least 2 to 5 miles almost every day. It's a little more broken up in January because of A, this program, and B, I've been working actually more than I've had a chance to walk. So
well, you have a better excuse than I do.
Yeah, well, and I would say
I don't like the cold.
And I've been out there every day since June, so I've actually adapted to it, ironically. But when we were doing this process, which we're going to talk about, I also experienced a little more, I was tired, or my body didn't have the same fuel because I was on, we both did an antimicrobial system in regard to the Candida, because it was my choice. I wanted to work with this and wipe out the Candida. So we did an antimicrobial along with an antimicrobial meal plan. Mm-hmm. So that meant cutting out categories like dairy, yeast products, wheats, glutens, processed foods, alcohol. The list was quite extensive.
Yeah. I mean, it was basically eating like fruits and vegetables and some clean animal protein.
Right. Okay, there you go.
Nuts and seeds.
Right.
But yeah, it's a little, it's challenging.
Yep.
But doable. And if you have a real reason for it, like getting rid of Candida, you don't want that to get any worse. So
right.
It's
so
motivating in that way.
And it was. And, I was on the supplements, which were very strong. So it was very systematic. I had everything outlined based on the foods. The side effect or bonus, in a good way, amongst other things, which is why we're going to get to mindset, was that in 25 days, I lost 10 pounds. Yeah. Which, I would call Kate and be like, 0.6 today, or, I'm up 1 or up 1.5. And I'm speaking about this a lot lately because I think it's important. When we're on our way up with food, specifically like a year like 2020, which a lot of people I think were, you stop weighing yourself. And although I wouldn't say weigh yourself every day, I do think it's important to check in and do the work so you know where you are. But if your mindset is such that you know what you're doing subconsciously, you know what you're doing consciously, you don't want to check in because you don't want to be disappointed. And then there's a whole slew of things that come along with, weighing ourselves on a scale. And a lot of people actually don't do well with it. So I say use a pair of jeans. Even if they come up to your thighs, use a pair of jeans.
I like that. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the scale personally. I have issues with it.
Yep. That's like, a lot of people.
But I think that what we measure gets improved.
Yeah.
And so that's why I like to do this type of testing that I do. Like we tested you for Candida and food sensitivities. We could now retest you and we would see that your Candida levels have come way down.
Yeah.
So, we're not going to do that right this second, but that's just another way of measuring. So, and the way that you were measuring was much more than just step on a scale and see one number.
Yeah.
Because you were looking at a lot of other factors. You have like a special kind of a scale, right?
Well, so what I say is that, so like on the way up, you're not checking in because you know what you're doing. And so what happens all the time, I was speaking to a lot of people over the weekend about this, is that when they finally do step on the scale, they feel like they're in shock. And you know what you did. You know exactly what you did. You know what you've been eating. You know what you've been drinking. Yet we let ourselves be shocked by the number. So what I was saying was, when you're on a system or a program or a meal plan and your weight is on the way down, why I weighed in every day was not to see my total weight on the scale. It shows me body fat. It shows me hydration. When your hydration level, and the way it works is that for your body fat percentage, you need to be in a certain range of hydrated for your body fat. So if my hydration level wasn't as high on the scale, my body fat would be a little higher. If my hydration level was good, the body fat would come down. So there's a correlation there about being, a more hydrated body shows lower body fat. But what I would do is step on the scale, and when I noticed I was a pound or so up, we would talk, and we figured out a couple of things. And again, all this has to do with mindset. Mindset of why I'm stepping on the scale is one, because I'm researching for my body's sake. So the first thing we did was I was eating a lot of salads and cabbage on top just for the crunch, plain, cut up cabbage. And then broccoli for dinner was my side vegetable, which I've been eating for a very long time. And I have a very multi-leveled or multi-layered system of allergies. And so for years, I've been trying to figure out how to address them. And I would take one thing out, still itch, and think, all right, well, it wasn't that. Well, it may have been partially due to what I took out, and it was the sum of the whole, not just one thing.
Right.
So we took out broccoli and cabbage, and the next day the scale went down a pound. So I was creating, that's where you come in.
What?
On the broccoli.
Sorry. They were creating, I think you knew, the saccharides.
Okay.
Well, they were parts of them were turning to like a saccharide, almost like a sugar, but it was creating like a partially histamine response in your body. It's not going to do that for everybody.
Right.
But we learned based on the symptoms that you were experiencing and
the bloat on the scale.
Right.
Right. Because I see
that they weren't right for you.
And when you're eating so clean and you gain a pound or two, it's more likely, really clean, that some of these foods, that's what they're doing. They're causing bloat, or let's say I'm itching. Well, itching is a sign, as you said yesterday, that my body's screaming at me because something's going on the inside. What's going on the inside is inflammation, which then either shows up on the scale the next day, and the theory for me was it either comes out of you very quickly in a couple of days as toxins and not in a good way, or it stays stuck inside of you, same thing, not in a good way because you're holding on to those toxins and your body's not working optimally. So the second thing was following this process, and a week later I was having a salad for dinner. I was using these cashews for a little bit of flavor because they were a little spicy, and just I'm not having all that much, so that was my treat. And that night I started itching like I do, and I blamed it on the cashews.
Right.
So the next day I took them out, and I was also having some other things I was curious about. And the next night it was times 10. So I took an allergy pill twice because the first time it wouldn't subside. And so the next day we're talking, I'm like, I didn't have the cashews, I didn't have this. I've been having green tea, and I've written about this, and chamomile tea at night before bed because it's decaf. And occasionally I'll have a black tea, but I used to live on black tea. Black iced tea was my thing. It's unsweetened. I don't put anything in it. As far as I knew and was concerned, it was harmless.
Yeah.
It's just black tea. I probably hated it at first because it was probably boring and acidic, and I'm sure I didn't even like it, like your first beer and your first glass of wine. You never really like the first one, right? But because it's so good for me, I'm going to adjust. I'm not having Diet Snapple anymore. I got rid of that after getting rid of the Diet Coke many years ago because the NutraSweet's no good for you. So I worked my way to unsweetened black tea. So here I am having a really profound reaction. And the next day we're talking, and Kate says, I think it's the tea. Because the
tannins in the tea are creating a histamine response again for you. Because histamine is one of your challenges.
Yeah.
Your body is producing too much histamine for you right now.
Right.
So anything that's extra histamine producing, we want to remove so that we can calm that down.
Right.
Yeah.
And I happen to find this a particularly fascinating, because it affects me, topic. So we're going to try to come back and talk about histamines. Because,
and what to do about them.
Right. Because I've had so many people reach out from these videos and text me and say, I'm having the same things. I would have no idea. I didn't know. So the next day, let's call it Wednesday, no tea, back to clean foods, another 1.5 pounds off the scale over the next couple of days. No tea Saturday, Sunday, Monday. In fact, I did use an isogenics product called BIA, which is an all-natural plant-based adaptogen energy drink, which was right in my fridge, but I would, go for the gray zone tea before taking out something that was super good for me. So now I've been having one of those a day.
And we did find you a replacement tea, right?
Yes,
that you do
we did. We have an organic.
I don't want everybody to think that we're just going to cut everything out that you love and then never give you a replacement.
Right.
Because that's super important.
Nope, already got it, already have it. I've been having that for at least a week.
Yeah.
Okay. And I can post that in here because it's in my orders. Or I'll take a picture of it when I get home. So the tea comes out and I get a little cocky. And on Monday, we're going to meet last Tuesday, which we did. So on Monday, I'm thinking, all right, I haven't had a green tea, don't have chamomile. I'm going to test it. So through Dunkin' Donuts, I went and got a large black unsweetened iced tea. Hopefully, I think we're probably still going hopefully on their end. And then that night, get in bed, nothing else changed, and the itching starts. So I confess on Tuesday. I say, I learned and failed. Kate says, no, you just reconfirmed. Thank you for the positive language. And haven't had that kind of tea since. And now, if I'm having little issues, they're small problems, and we're still working to address. So
Right.
I'm not done. I'm still learning about the things that cause the histamines to rise in my body. I have learned a lot through Kate, through information she's been helping me and coaching me with, about a lot of other foods that I didn't know, like overripe fruits and or avocados, as I'm trying to save it and scrape the brown off and use it, but that's actually working against me instead of being a healthy fat that works for me. A beautiful green, fresh, ripe avocado is fine. Something that's getting a little older starts to create. And I'll never forget this from Dr. Oz. Years ago, because my husband is allergic to shellfish, or is he, Dr. Oz said sometimes because, and we looked this up, shellfish, because there's a process that they use, by the time it gets to your plate and it's from the waters, it's built up so many histamines that you can react from the shellfish, not because you're allergic to the fish, but because the histamines then react in your body.
Yes.
So,
and that's the case with potentially the leftover chicken
right,
that we were talking about.
Have you tried the lavender oil for the itching? I got it, I have it, and I put coconut oil on, but I haven't mixed the two. So thank you, Linda, for reminding me. I got it, and I've been using it in my diffuser, but I forgot to try it for the itching because I've been using it at night.
I love lavender
for
oil.
sleeping. All right, so now let's jump in to the mindset, because this was so important. So when we started this whole thing, and with everybody that we did this with, the mindset was, and my friend Judy, she was helpful with this, and talking to her over the weekend too, was such that I'm giving this up for 30 days, and I think a lot of us thought like that. And what that does is it puts you into a victim state of deprivation. I can't have this. I can't have, well, I could have chosen just as easily to stay exactly as I was. I chose to be proactive about my health. I chose to go on very strong supplements to clear candida. I chose to have an antimicrobial meal plan to support that. I was a good student, right?
You were.
I mean, I didn't
everything.
cheat. I didn't, this included no alcohol, which probably, was one of the harder things for me because of 2020 and happy hour every day. But I was interested more so in cleaning my health. I still saw it as a sentence of counting down. And a friend of mine said, how come you don't count up? Like how many days you actually did well instead of counting down? So all the way to day 30, which is today, actually I knew intentionally I'd be breaking it this past weekend. So we did, or I did, and I drank wine this weekend, 2 different kinds. One I'll talk about Friday, which was a regular, good old-fashioned bottle of Chardonnay that I'm used to having, and I had a complete and utter reaction Saturday morning. I was gifted a bottle of Chardonnay from my friends at Scout and Cellar, which we can add these links, which is clean crafted wine. On Saturday night, I did not have even remotely a symptom on Sunday. So there is a very big difference in what's going into it. And then I read the difference in the sugar levels between the two. One has less than a half a gram of sugar per liter of wine. The other can have as much as 5 grams of sugar. And I saw that Kendall Jackson Reserve, in order to mask, they used 2 words that didn't sound very appetizing. I want to call it sour or not so flavorful. So they add sugars to mask the, let's call it vinegar-like or something. Yeah. It was something that seemed negative in regard to wine. So to mask that, they add extra sugars to the wine. So what you're tasting necessarily isn't the deliciousness of the grape or the beverage. It's the additives, the sulfites, the sulfates, the preservatives, and everything. And the profound reaction I had Saturday morning completely impacted sinuses, headache, felt horrible, and was really going to enjoy my end of the month detoxing facial, yet I was completely impacted. So I'm so glad I did that. because it was an absolute lesson to me. And this is where my wake up call and mindset comes in. You know, when we were so conditioned to eat tremendous amounts of food with so many ingredients and fast foods and convenient foods, and making it is harder. Even one night, Friday night, when I had the regular bottle of wine, we went to pick up food for the kids, and we came home, and I was going to go into Chipotle because I could stay on path, the salad and beans and no cheese, etc., because I haven't really broken the foods yet. But the line was too long, so I left. Poor me, as I've been writing about in this group. Poor me. I had to go home. I didn't get a meal. I had to go home and make something. So I made a salad with, all clean stuff, and I had some carrots and hummus. Poor me, I had a meal that kept me on path. Poor me, I didn't react from it. Poor me, I felt, great from food, but awful from the wine the next day, but my food stayed on path. So, mindset. This is just, I think, really was a profound learning experience for me. And here I am, a coach for a lot of years, and doing it myself so I could walk the walk and talk the talk taught me something really empowering. When you go on a program and you look at it with everything that you think you have to give up, you're focusing on deprivation. You're focusing on what you can't have. You're a victim. You're poor me. You're poor me. Everybody else can have it. Well, this isn't about everybody else. So what if the other guy is pouring a big glass of wine every night? So what if the kids are all having the big cheese pizza? What we're not focusing on are the effects of those foods and those beverages on our body. And for me, 2 to 3 slices of pizza is going to weigh me down. It's going to change how I feel after the meal, and it's going to change not only the way I feel the next day, but it's also going to change the weight on the scale. But that's not the goal per se. That's the side effect. The weight on the scale is a side effect of the actions.
Right.
And we all do them. So, so here I woke up Saturday morning feeling like complete shit. And it brought me back to 25 days of energy in the morning, of a bedtime routine, of the things that I gained from this beautiful experience of treating my body the way it wants to be treated. Mm-hmm. It's begging to be treated well. And yet we don't. We barrage our bodies with excess. And, waking up with energy, not feeling cloudy, getting out of bed at 6:30 or 7, kind of by nature. Saturday morning I could barely get out of bed at 8:30. I even felt like driving to this appointment, I was a little harried and not my complete self. It was a very profound difference. And so here I was counting down the days so that I could feel like crap again?
Right.
By adding it all back. So on Friday night when we had a toast and my husband said, welcome back, I thought, welcome back to what? I was 10 pounds heavier when I started. I feel so much better. How about welcome home?
Yes.
Welcome to the home state of feeling better. Your body wants to be in a state that is a home state where you're treating it with respect and love and caring. That's called self-love. That's the stuff the mindset isn't thinking about, because we don't want to miss a party. We don't want to miss a celebration. We don't want to miss a piece of cake. We don't want to miss a glass of wine. We think we can't interact the same way socially with people if we're not having a big bottle of water or, a sparkling water or something that could be just as fun if the conversation is wonderful. So, I refocused the entire way of thinking to this next month coming up to be empowerment choices. Mm-hmm.
And this would be a good time, I'm just thinking, to get your food sensitivity test back out, because what I love about it is I think there were 95 foods on there, and there was a whole lot of green, and green means go. You can have every single thing that was listed as a green food. You only had, I think, a handful of do not have, right? So now being able to focus on all the things that you can have. And there's a little bit of testing, right?
Yep.
Like you're going to eat something that you haven't been eating and just see how you feel. But the next month can become what you're saying. And along with that is discovering the new things or the old things maybe that you can reintroduce that are going to serve you now.
Right.
That's super exciting.
It is.
Because there's so many replacements for things.
And there's so many foods that I could have, but because my gut was in disarray, it was showing up in all sorts of ways.
Yes.
And I'm still learning and I'm still focusing. There's a lot of clean, beautiful foods out there that I can now start to reintroduce and keep myself on this continual path to health. I'm not going back to 2020. Hindsight is 2020.
Right.
And now I see clearly, and I'm not going back to what I was doing, which I filtered in habits that I typically don't do, and they were showing up on my body, they were showing up in my body, and in my opinion, because I was still very active, walking, again, 2 to 5 miles a day, and 60% of my day was clean, but 40% of my day was not. And that 40%, so this is important, 40% of my foods were not as clean as they could be. And that disproportionate percentage, even with 60% completely on path, was enough to put 10 pounds on my body while walking 2 to 5 miles a day. And I only missed a handful of days in the entire year.
And you weren't, it's not like you were piling on, having big cheeseburgers every night. Like you weren't eating horribly.
No.
You were just eating some things that weren't quite right for you, but also, we were dealing with the candida, which is, it's a big deal, and an inflammatory condition.
Right. So. And I think, like we were saying, if you get a test done and you can see the test results, that's what motivates you to want to make a change. You could tell me these things, just like and I say this too about coaching. If you, and mindset, we don't think about what will happen in the end result. We think about today's day 1 of suffering, tomorrow's day 2 of suffering. Then it's day 3 of poor me and I can't have. But if we're to say, if you stick with a meal plan or a program and you really take notes and you say, all right, yesterday I had tea, that affected me, and tomorrow I'm not going to have it. No itching tomorrow night, beautiful. Next day, and you really break it down to the basics and then grow back up to see what you're doing, that your body will release weight as a side effect of this. And in 2 months from now, you could be down X, Y, or Z.
And no more itching.
Right. So,
or bloating, or whatever it is that the issue is causing for you.
Right. So mindset has been really a huge lesson for me. I am grateful to Kate, because literally without her knowledge and deep digging, I would be drinking tea for the rest of my life. It's unsweetened black tea. Why would I give it up?
Yeah.
I'm not.
Right.
Until we, based on what we were doing and looking at the different things, discovered that the tannins could really be the issue, and then we proved it.
And next step is to figure out why there's such an issue for you and correct that so that you can go back to having your tea.
Right,
because you can go back to having the things that you are sensitive to. You just need to give your body what it needs to heal so that then it can handle the histamine response.
Okay, so let's just talk about that. I know you've got another appointment quickly after, so let's talk just quickly about the fact that we're good?
Yeah. 15.
Okay, so that's true, and that's a big one. So it's not that broccoli's bad for you, and it's not that tea's bad for you. We're not saying that at all.
Right.
We're saying, based on my body, something was disproportionate, so that the tannins or the way the broccoli was fermenting in my system made it not good for me at the time. But we take it to a deeper level by...
Yeah. So, I mean, we're talking about doing a gut health test together to see what's really going on, if there's some kind of a digestive enzyme that's missing, or we were talking earlier about your short chain fatty acids, which are super important for that mucosal lining in the digestive system, which is super important not only for digestion but also for your immune system. So we're going to look closer at, why is your body potentially not producing enough of the things that it needs to handle the histamine response, or, or to keep the candida under control.
Right.
So we have the ability to know all of this. It's so cool.
It's
like
really
we can
cool.
just test we test the gut, and we can find out exactly what's going on and why, and then we address it.
Right.
And that way we can heal from whatever it is, including food sensitivities.
Because it's all a chain. So it could be, I'm having tea with tannins, but the mucosal lining isn't built up enough, which could go, cause a leaky gut or a micronutrient deficiency. So then I'm not getting enough of the micronutrients because the mucosal lining isn't built up enough because of.
Yep.
So the goal isn't to cut things out. This is taking a much deeper dive in learning about your own body and your system so that you can heal, repair, recover, and then re-eat.
Yeah. It's like just over and over and over asking why.
Right.
We're just trying to figure out why.
I'm the 2-year-old, but why?
Yep. We just want to know why.
But why?
Why are you not able to process tea?
I'm a little bit like
and
that.
why until we find the why, and then we address the why.
Right.
So, and I was just thinking, like, for everybody who's been participating, maybe you haven't met your goals that you wanted to. Maybe you have. We would love to know, for those of you who have, tell us. And even for those of you who haven't, where did you struggle? How can we help? But I can promise you that it's not just because you're eating too much or not exercising enough.
Yeah.
Like, that's the overwhelming message, not only of my book, but also what we're doing here. Like, it wasn't because you were eating too much and not exercising enough.
Correct.
That is not why you were having trouble with the weight.
Which is why it's so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Because it's such a multifaceted system. It's so just not one thing. And because I love research and science, and really that's, it's not about the burpees and it's not about the broccoli.
Right.
If it was about burpees and broccoli, you could be watching anybody else and listening to any coach out there, because that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
But we're not about that.
Right.
We're about deeper dive and digging in and really peeling the layers of the onion till we get to the center, and then putting the puzzle pieces back together so that we end up whole and healthy.
Yeah. And it's sustainable.
Yeah.
Like, I know you probably wouldn't want to continue on this particular plan for the rest of your life, but you could.
Right. I could.
And you feel really fantastic.
Yeah, I do. And I'll be honest, this weekend I put on a pair of jeans that the last time I put on with the same shirt felt awful. I posted a picture of my before and after in the group. And again, this is on exercise and 60% or more really clean eating, because that's what I would do. I'm having an isogenic shake every day for breakfast. I'm having, smart lunches. So, but I was adding in chips and things that I typically wouldn't do, which turned to sugar, and happy hour was way too many times in 2020. So the next month ahead, I can't find it, but it's in the group. I'll put it here in the pictures. The next month ahead, the focus is going to be on empowered choices. I'm not a victim. I don't have to worry if Kate wants to have a big glass of wine and I want to have a big glass of water or what have you, because I'm on a path to not finishing here today, end of 30 days. We're going to keep going.
Yeah.
I want to keep moving forward, motivating through exercise and healthy foods as a way to help myself, but digging deeper at the same time so that I can know what the root causes, as you say, are in all of it.
Absolutely.
And I really think that's so important, and that's how you find, it's, again, like here I am saying I'm a fitness coach because that's a tool in my toolbox, but I'm a mindset coach, and my gifts are really in helping people find their light, turn it on, believe in themselves, and take their body and their mind and their soul to another level, because we all deserve it.
Yeah.
And we're all bright lights. Sometimes those lights go out for lots and lots of reasons, and a lot of it could be stress, that we hold on to things that because of stress, but mindset is everything. So
yeah, and you keep saying, like, you're a mindset coach, so why can't you do that for yourself? But the best coaches have coaches, because it's so hard to see your own blind spots.
Yeah.
So I know you and I do mindset work all the time, and it's tremendously helpful for me.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I mean, most of the time you kind of help me become aware of something that I knew, but I'm not thinking of it in a, you know, that particular way, and you remind me to.
And that's in regard to ourselves, so that because we're great at helping other people.
Yes.
But turn my light on, you know, and if your light's out and my light's out, the room is dark.
Right.
But I want your light to be on because it makes the world brighter for me. So it's an abundance of light. A lot of it. So all good stuff. And it's really been a phenomenal journey. I am really grateful. I think that I have had, you know, a myriad of learning experiences in my life, but I've had fewer portals. And a portal to me is just a way I refer to it, of an experience of walking through something that really wakes me up to new ideas. That is something I didn't even know I didn't know I didn't know. And those are the greatest things to learn, because I didn't even know I didn't know I didn't know it. Yeah. And now I know it.
Especially when it works.
Especially when it works.
Even better.
Yeah.
Extra bonus.
Yeah. And still, you know, working to find out. So I just kind of wanted to read what this, because if any of this is interesting to you and you've made it this far, and I know I've been talking fast, that's in New York of me, and I've said a lot, and people watch this at all different times, either DM us or reach out or put your email address. We're formulating a program that we're working on, and it's going to include a deeper dive. And so part of it will be what we did in January, which is food sensitivity testing, candida testing, and monitoring in a group setting with us. And or the next phase from there, as we're creating it, could be a deeper dive into the gut experience, which helps you find the good bacteria and the pathogens and the bad gut bugs. Plus, it tells you how many good ones you have in your system. It also lets you know about inflammatory markers, where you could be going with inflammation, sensitivity to gluten, if you're chewing your food properly, if you need extra help with digestion, about the short-chain fatty acids, which were related to the mucosal lining in the gut, which if weakened or too thin could be why a lot of other things are happening. Indicators about your health going forward in the future, or where your body could be going. If your body is then, as a result, depleted of micronutrients, and then every bacteria and the risks that they hold for you.
Yeah, it's very, very comprehensive.
Yeah.
You'll know everything there is to know about your gut.
And it is your second brain.
Right.
So it is extremely important.
Your immune system.
And there are more brain cells in your gut than in your brain.
Yeah.
So
super important. Yeah.
Super important. So, all right, that was a lot, I know. Questions. Okay, no, you guys are talking. That's beautiful. I love it. Welcome. As you watch, if you have questions, again, put them in the group here. I'll post, I did my before and after in the cleanup in aisle 7, but I'll put it in this stream as well so you can see it. It's a 10-pound difference from 152 start to 142 start. And, you know, don't let that be demotivating. If you know, are here weighing in at my height at 150, we're all different bodies. And my body actually sits well in the 130s. Even after 5 kids, I sat well at the 130s, but between powerlifting starting at 49 and menopause, I know Linda knows about this. She wrote a book on menopause, which was great. What is it? It's called, and put it in here, Period, the End. Oh. Right? Which she gave to me and I loved, so thank you. But between the two, somewhere along the way, I thought it was powerlifting weight, but it certainly could have been menopausal weight. That was put on because I'm almost 57. So there's a lot of that. Now, in these times, I'm looking to get away from all of it because I'm not currently powerlifting, although I'm a big fan of the sport and I'm still very much involved in the sport. I'm not currently lifting 320 pounds, and I am still menopausal or post. So I am working on leaving my middle number behind and getting to a new one. So yeah, that's what we're focused. That's what we're doing. So I'm trying to see if I can get myself to another level. And we'll see. Maybe I can. Maybe my body belongs here. There's no right or wrong, and you never get it done, as per Esther Hicks. We just try our best to keep going. You can't get it wrong, and you can only just keep trying.
Yeah.
And as you can see with me, as a coach for many years, many years in the fitness business since 1992, at Shape Magazine and Cooking Light. I've been doing this for a very long time. I've read, I should have my doctorate in this if magazines were what got you there, and information and everything. So, and my point is, I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still being challenged. I'm still working on getting better every day.
We all are, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Exactly right. So, cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
We hope to see you all
Thank you.
With us.
Yes. We still have one more to go in this series.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking about exercise.
Exercise. Right. Oh my God, the one I'm forgetting is the one that I do best. Not really, but the one I know best.
Exercise.
Yeah. And there's a lot to talk about that because it has been a phenomenal year of learning in 2020 and just how much nature can affect phenomenal exercise. So that'll be next. So thank you for watching. I know this was a lot. It was a very, I'll call it thick podcast, so to speak, with a lot of information and a lot of words that were spoken very quickly. So watch and watch again if you need to. I'll upload it. We'll both upload it to our channels and post it here and share it in Coach Kathi. I'll also put it in the group. If you're watching this from the group, where you can find me other than here, if you're in from a friend of a friend, I'm so glad you were part of the journey. Just switch over to Coach Kathi, Kathi, where I am all the time anyway. And you can find Kate at
Integrative Wellness Advisors. And I'll put a link.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where you can reach us both, and we'll be working together doing more. So look for us again and leave comments and whatever questions you have. We will be here to gladly discuss them with you.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Have a great rest of the day.
All right.